Hey guys, it's Mers. Welcome back to Harpies in the Trees, where I review horror books with a supernatural focus. I have started a Patreon, and I'm gonna make a video about that a little bit more in full next week sometime, but I really want to take this channel into a place where I couldn't by myself. I would like to do a lot more things here. I want to provide you guys with a better experience, with better spooky atmospheres, with more content that's going to be really fun and creepy. So if you want to check it out, the link is down below. A little bit of a different background today. I'm actually on vacation at the Baltic Sea. One of the popular things to do here are to look for a specific type of rock on the beach. It's a very special rock because what defines its characteristic is having a hole through itself. They also have a very special name, and it's called hunekot, and it means basically chicken god. And what they are rocks that kind of look like this. I don't know if I can show it to you. You can see that there's a hole right through there. But they're very popular, and it's kind of just like a pastime to go and try and find your own hunekot. But while I'm here, one of the things that I definitely want to do is just read a lot. You know, during the day you're like running around and you are bike riding, hiking, all that kind of stuff. But at night it's pretty quiet and chill, and it gets dark pretty early. So I just have a lot of time to read. So I was able to bring with me and finish A Cosmology of Monsters. I don't have a makeup look for this book this week, obviously because I'm not home, and you know, it took a train and 2 buses to get here, so I didn't want to bring too much stuff with me, but I made sure that I brought the candelabra. So we're just gonna go ahead and jump into Cosmology of Monsters by Shaun Hamill. Our book opens with Harry and Margaret. Harry is a very shy kid who takes care of his ailing mother, and he spends his free time and kind of recuperative time for himself at a bookstore where Margaret works. One day at the bookstore, Margaret gets a little annoyed with Harry because he only comes in to read and he never buys anything. She sort of bullies him into buying something, and this sort of turns into a date. Harry is a huge horror fan, so of course the place that he takes Margaret on their first date is to a haunted house attraction. They get to the haunted house and they go through all of the rooms, but the house seems a little different than your normal haunted house attraction. There's something just different about it. Something sort of unnatural. They go through the rooms in the haunted house and it becomes more and more unsettling. By the end, they come to a room that seems like there's no escape. There's no open doors, there's nowhere to run. And out of nowhere, this very scary beast appears. Harry grabs Margaret and throws her into a plastic slide that takes her out of the house and onto the lawn of the haunted house attraction. Harry follows behind her, and it's in this exhilarating moment that Margaret decides that she likes Harry. We skip some years later when Harry and Margaret are already married and they have 2 daughters. During these years, Harry becomes obsessed with building a haunted house attraction. He wants it to have multiple rooms with a lot of potential and opportunity to scare the shit out of anyone walking through there. He involves his kids and his neighbors, and all kinds of people get involved, and they make this into something really spectacular, really scary and fun. It's called The Tomb. We skip forward again, and Harry and Margaret have a son. And when this son is 6 years old, he's visited by something in the night. It comes scratching at his door, wanting to be let in. And the little boy has no fear of this monster, this creature, this thing of the night. And they begin to have a very unusual relationship. And that's how our story begins. So this story is really hard to define. It's a family saga. It has these fantasy elements. It's definitely wrapped lovingly in a Lovecraftian bow. It's a character study between parent and child and sibling, husband and wife. And it's also about fate. I really enjoyed a lot of aspects of this book. I loved the haunted house attraction that Harry builds and his obsession with that and its connections to the many things in the book. I also love all of the relationships between the characters. They're very real, they're very raw. You know, there are these relationships between mother and daughter, for instance, you know, where the daughter is just very combative and the mother is extremely defensive. These relationships are told really, really well in this story, and they are so vivid and lifelike and vibrant. The author uses a really interesting mechanism, I guess, maybe you could call it that, interspersed between some pages from the original narrator, who is Noah, the son of Harry and Margaret, are these stories that are typed on a typewriter. And they're typed by someone else. And these pages have a totally different feel. It's not Noah who's the narrator, it's someone else. But it begins to tell us things that we can't really comprehend very early on in the book. And it's something that we sort of discover as we go on in time. And mentioning time, the book jumps a lot. So you have a lot of time jumping, you know, where we have, it begins in the 1960s, it ends in the mid-2000s, I think, where we have, you know, moments that are kind of jumping forward, skipping very big segments of time. But throughout that, Noah really is the main narrator. The character studies of the family are really fantastic. It's kind of like a microscope just on this family and everything that's going wrong and not working, and the defensiveness, the lies, the deflection, everything. It's like everybody in this family is harboring something, some secret, and it's part of the problems are all of these protections of secrets in a way. But around all of this is kind of this fantasy element. You have a family who's crumbling, who's struggling, who's in poverty, who is confused and lost and angry. You have this element of the fantasy. So we have a creature who comes and visits Noah, and we get to know more about that and you know, who this creature is. However, this story really isn't about the creature. It's more about the family, and just like the family trying to find a way to free itself in some aspects of just all the stuff that it's trying to like keep under lock and key, we'll say. There is a questionable romance in this story. It's a little weird. I can't tell you obviously what it is, but it's a bit weird. It's a bit weird. I really love this haunted house that Harry was building and became very obsessed with. But I really loved it because when I was reading about these descriptions about it, I was reminded of a production, a immersive production that I saw in New York City, and it was called Sleep No More. If you've never been a part of it, but you get a chance to get to New York City and go to it, you absolutely have to. Forget the Brooklyn Bridge, forget Empire State Building, forget all that. Just go to Sleep No More. It is like it's like being in a surreal dream awakened. It's so amazing, and it was life-changing for me when I saw it. So what it is, it's this 7-story building. Every single floor, every room is a set, basically. And some of them look like normal rooms and some of them don't. They're surreal sometimes. You can go into one room and it's all of these trees and it looks like there's moonlight coming through, but you're like in this industrial building on the 6th floor. These rooms are special because you get to touch everything, you get to open drawers, you're encouraged to explore and touch things. And the other aspect, which is really very surreal, besides the fact that you're wearing a mask, everyone has to wear a mask and there's absolutely no talking. You are not allowed to talk to anybody. There are actors who are performing in certain parts of the building. So one of the scenes that I saw was a man taking a bath, completely naked, and then he gets up and he walks away. And you can follow the actors if you choose to. So you can follow this actor to wherever he's going and what he'll be doing next. And it's all, like, there's no break in their character, so whatever you see is part of his performance. Another one was like a graveyard again, and another like floor of this industrial building was so amazing. Just fog and tombs, and it was so cool. There would be couples that were dancing and they would just find ways to dance around you. It was just, I can go on and on and on and on about Sleep No More, but this is exactly what I was thinking when I was reading this book. It was just so cool and just brought me back to that moment. So anyway, go to that if you've never gone there. If you want to impress anybody, that is the place to take them. They will have just an unreal moment that will never be able to be replicated in their life. So I really liked this concept of this haunted house. So in the book, they have different rooms, you know, where there's a theme for each one of them. Like there's the mummy's tomb, or you know, stuff like that. But they were really creating these experiences. And later on in the book, the tomb becomes the Wandering Dark, which is like a newer version of what it was. And it's so cool. Like if I could have a job, if I could do that, I would definitely do that. It sounds rad. And I love this concept so much. So, you know, of course, there's some connection between this attraction and this family, and the creature, and all of these things. There's a thread here that ties them all together. So one thing to definitely say though is that the creature is really not that big of a part of the story, which I was hoping for. And there were some unanswered questions. I thought the ending was really good, but I still felt sort of like not exactly sure about some of the things in the book. So I wish there had been more about the creature and its world and, you know, just everything about it, because what we kind of learned about the creature was... So Noah also explores this like other dimension, but to me it just felt a little vague. It just felt flat for me. I think if this was 100 pages less, I would have enjoyed it a little more. But that being said, I did enjoy it. I did like reading it. I read it fairly quickly, and when I was reading it, I put on a Lovecraftian music ambiance reading atmosphere video, and it was perfect. It really just kind of like set that mood. And there would be moments when I was reading it and something violent or sudden would happen. The music would just like line up at this exact moment. It just felt so cinematic and so epic. It was so cool. I use reading atmospheres to really boost my reading, and it definitely helps. So, you know, if I'm reading something and maybe I feel like I'm not exactly meshing with the story, or I'm not really getting immersed into it, I'll put something on that is the same setting to make it work. You know, like if it's raining and storming in the book, I'll put something rainy and stormy on. And it's great. It really does help a lot. So I do encourage people to do that. If you find you're struggling with something, or, you know, you just need a little, you just need some magic to get you going, that's definitely an awesome way to do it. I think if you like family sagas and character studies and relationship dramas, you know, with fantasy elements at the edges, and also with a thread of Lovecraftian horror, then I think you definitely like this. I liked the writing style. I thought it was, you know, interesting. So for me, based on my Excel spreadsheet that I use to determine book scoring, this is a 71 out of 114 points. So for me, this was a 3.5-star read. So I know that a lot of you really, really love this book, and I can definitely understand why. It's definitely worth reading and checking out, especially if you're a Lovecraft fan, because this has so many just little nods to Lovecraft, and not just little, big nods. So that's it for me. Thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. I really do appreciate it. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. I would appreciate that so much. If you're on Instagram, I'm Harpies in the Trees, and you can follow me there. Please take care of yourself, wear a mask, and watch out for each other. I will talk to you next time.